impact. It went viral. You don't have that outside the bubble. What do you expect from these players as well as coaches and the referees standing together and unified inside this bubble moving on?
Well, believe it or not, I think Doc Rivers has tremendously helped their cause, not just because of the powerful message that he delivered, but also, as you pointed out, how it has resonated. I had one league executive tell me last night, like 2 or 3 in the morning, if Doc Rivers was outside the bubble and had given the same speech, how much would that have resonated? We all know the answer to that question. It wouldn't have measured up to how it's rated thus far and how it's been viewed thus far. What's the reason? He's a basketball coach that's presently active right now inside that bubble, taking the stance that he took. So it really augments the NBA's position that being inside that bubble, being assisted by the NBA and supported by the NBA, having that platform to disseminate a message to the masses is far more profound than being outside of the bubble, not playing and operating as an individual entity. It's not going to resonate as powerfully as it did inside the bubble. So players see that. They recognize they're even more popular, at least some of them, that is, than Doc Rivers. So if Doc Rivers could resonate in such a profound fashion, what could they end up doing? I think you're going to see guys imagining those possibilities. I think you're going to see those possibilities explored, and you're going to see a lot of messages being disseminated to the masses from the bubble in the days and weeks to come. I don't think there's any question about
Aside from LeBron, no platform is bigger than the bubble right now at this moment. Stephen A. Smith, appreciate your words.
No doubt. Thank you.
All right, the NFL is still 2 weeks away from playing games, but practices were affected today as teams chose to cancel them. Many teams, in light of the social justice issues around the country, 9 teams to be exact, decided not to practice. The Jets, Packers, Colts, Titans, Broncos, Cardinals, Chargers, the Chicago Bears, and the Washington football team as well. Let's bring in our insider, Dan Graziano, here. And the season, Dan, is scheduled to kick off exactly 2 weeks from today. How closely are NFL players monitoring what's going on in the NBA and also in Major League Baseball?
Oh, very closely, Sage. There's no question about it. And I think you see that with a lot of the discussion that's coming out of these training camps, the postponement and cancellation of some practices so that teams can gather and discuss these issues, so that there's absolutely no doubt that players in the NFL are watching closely with respect and in appreciation of what the NBA players are doing. Think back to June when they put that video out with Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson calling on the league to say Black Lives Matter, among other things. You know, this is a group of players, a generation of players that understands it has a certain degree of power and leverage that extends to the NFL, and there's absolutely no doubt that they are watching what's going on in these other sports.
Again, 9 teams deciding not to practice today, but the others did. The Giants included in that group that did. And after practice, let's listen to what running back Saquon Barkley said.
I can't really just go and speak on behalf of the whole league, but I mean, for us, that's something that we're going to talk about within our groups, within our team, and what's talked about in players in meetings, and players meetings stays in player meetings.
So Barkley's strong comments about possibly sitting out games. Dan, what do you think? How likely is it that games will indeed be canceled if players decide to boycott?
I think, Sage, the lesson that we take from this week is that anything is on the table. And if these issues persist and if they continue to bubble to the surface the way they did yet again this past Sunday, there's no question that NFL players would consider the same kind of action that they've seen from NBA players, from Major League Baseball players over the last couple of days. Again, this is a group of players that is definitely aware that it has the ability to act in a way that demands attention and change on these big issues. So you heard some of the best quotes today were from Eagles safety Rodney McLeod, who said, this comes down to the team owners and do they want to show support for our causes. He's basically calling out the owners of these teams to see, do you have our backs? And if the answers to those questions are yes, and the owners in the league can show strong support in a way that the players feel and appreciate, then I think it lessens the possibility of players doing what the NBA and MLB did the last couple of days. But there's no question it's on the table. These are young men that are absolutely fed up with what they're seeing, and they're looking for any way they can to make it go differently than it keeps going.
For more on the possibility of NFL players actually boycotting those games, Dan, I know you have a great article now on ESPN.com. Go ahead, I would suggest you check it out. A reminder, the season is supposed to kick off 2 weeks from tonight with the Texans visiting the defending champion Kansas City Chiefs. Dan, thank you.
It's been 3 months since the death of George Floyd, a time frame that included protests, demonstrations, and open